Hello and welcome to my backyard. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I checked everything. My computer should not die on me now. So I am I'm live and I'm going to talk to you tonight about some crazy energies that are coming forward, especially when it comes to the Saturn Mars opposition. And good evening, Candace. Good evening, Candace. I'm hoping you are in your little tent igloo, keeping nice and cool this evening. Um, I asked my daughter, here's a couple of things that are coming up. July 1st is kind of a turning point for me in my life, right? I'm eating an ice block. I can see it just with an ice pick chipping away on that. Um, and I was asking my kids how old they were when we lived in a place on Bennett Avenue in Penticton, because when we lived there, that's when I did my first coming out party, sort of say, coming out to the public. And that was July 1st. And it was like 19 years ago. So I'll say 19 years ago. So 2002, 2002. That's when I actually came out public to the world, at least to Penticton anyways. And so many changes and transformations and everything, from there, have happened. And what do I mean by coming out to the world? I mean, I set up a tent and I did readings for people on Canada Day, Gyro Park in Penticton. So it was a big thing. My kids loved it because I was doing readings by donation, and they'd come in and they'd grab my money. Evil children are just evil sometimes. And they went off and they just had a blast, and they bought things and spent money on hot dogs and whatever else they could spend money on. So I don't even know how much money I made. I don't think it matters, but it was me stepping out especially to the community, to a community that was very closed. At least when I was there, at that time, it wasn't, people just didn't come out and do these types of things. I mean, people were chased out of town if they were known to be, and they would automatically call you a witch. Not a spiritualist, but a witch. So that's the thing was, coming out was a huge, huge piece, a huge transformation for me. And, from there, it's growth, like growth. So 19 years later, even though I've been doing this work for, I'll say, most of my life, coming now and sort of fine tuning it. So it takes me about 19-20 years to fine tune things upon my journey. This is where, watching the energies as they are evolving, and energies as what's going on. And I feel right now with the opposition to Pluto is really getting us to look at things in a very deep way. And we have to start at the beginning. So the reason why I brought that up, we got to start at the beginning. We got to start at where the energies were, and now kind of where it started, and especially with the Saturn Mars opposition. And it started at the beginning. Well, we'll start at the beginning, but it started around late March 2020. So many of you were in my karmic release at that time, and that's when Saturn went into Aquarius. Mars and Saturn cycle started then. And it was Saturn just going into Aquarius, and Mars came along and boom, conjuncted, rubbed up against Mars and said, hey, what you doing, dude? What's going on here? And this is where much of the craziness started to happen. This is when a lot of things were starting. We were getting locked down, and you started, Yes, I think you were, Candace. I think you were. The lockdown happened. People were talking about being 2 meters apart, and people were buying toilet paper and wipes like crazy because we got to sanitize everything because we're gonna die. Um, so everything, that Saturn stands for in the collective consciousness, social order and structure. So Saturn in Aquarius. Now that's where he is now, and he will be there for the next 2.5 years. It's about social order and structure. Now, Mars is very military. He's very charging. He's very aggressive. Mars, I'm God of war. I'm a ruler of Aries. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Core ruler of Scorpio. I am, fiery. And, Mars is social contents with Aquarius. Really, this is about when they came together around then, it was starting to make a plan, and a vision of something. So you were coming together, whether it was consciously or unconsciously, you were starting to put and making plans, envisioning something around that time. And Mars Saturn is concrete, pouring the concrete. So when we get Mars and Saturn together, they start to pour concrete because they're starting to wanting to make things happen. And that's when you go back, if you go back then, concrete was kind of being poured within the collective consciousness, information, ideas, all of that was starting to come in. Now, we have this envisioning, this energy that about proactively making a foundation, committing all of that mass yang energy, masculine energy coming in very strong, visioning a future. So we have this strong energy, Saturn and Mars, that's masculine energy. It's very strong. It's very like, yes, we are, where do I go? Where do I go? What do I do? And Saturn is about goals. What are your goals? What do you want to put out there? Let's get going, right? This is my goal. My goal is to get my PhD, or my goal is to get married and have whatever children, 2.5 children. My goal is to travel the world. Whatever your goal is, right? The consciousness or not spoken, it's whether it's the consciousness or not, spoken or not. And this is where contracts could have been signed or not signed. So information, things were coming in. Many of you, when I, too, in that karmic release, is that you were releasing a lot of old contracts. You were letting them go. And we made choices and decisions. Now, last month, or last year, I should say, not last month, as Mars went along, he ended up being in Aries for 6 months. And in this, as he comes around in opposition, in that opposition, not only does he come around into this opposition, he also comes into a square to Uranus. So we have this Mars energy that's coming in, opposite that of Saturn, squaring off Uranus, the crazy, the cray-cray, right? And this has to, this is about to do with taking what and it's building and learning, growing, gathering. This is energy. This is allowing this energy to grow. This is allowing things to go. But it's also with that Uranus energy, the big bombs coming in, things happening, things exploding, things, not coming into the alignment that you want to. This is where you start out and you're starting to express yourself, relationships, business. This is gathering support from others going forward. So we have this energy of wanting to go forward, wanting to make a change, wanting to live in a world that's maybe more centralized, more community oriented. So goals and ideas were coming forth, right? And now we come into this opposition, right? And with this opposition, we also have, just 2 weeks ago, we've had a full moon, and that was in 180-degree opposition with this energy. So Saturn is the great teacher. He is the teacher giving us a test. Are you, are you mature? Have you done your homework? Are you ready to go forward with this? Or are you still hanging on to old ideas, old thought patterns, or wanting to go back to the old? So many people that I speak to are, they say, oh, I guess it's not going back to the way it was. And I'm like, do you really want it to go back to the way it was? And this is where, going forward, and this is where that Saturn opposition is coming in. And this is where also the perseverance to really manifest. So if we've been doing, our work, wanting to create and wanting to get things going, this is a fabulous time also for manifestation. And looking at, our powerful new vision, what we want to set forth. And you have also with Mars, Saturn wants to okay, we got a vision. We're going to set these plans out. This is what we're going to do. In comes Mars, and Mars is very spontaneous and he wants it now. And Venus is there and they want to go party. They don't want to sit around and just wait. And what are the plans? It's summertime. I don't want to do this work. It's stupid. But here comes Saturn, this energy is ready to go. We got to make it happen. But we're looking at things that are happening now that with this Saturn opposition to Mars, where people are wanting to get out, they're wanting to get going. I mean, they're talking, I think they did some lockdowns in Australia again, huge protests of tens of thousands of people in London. People aren't wanting to be locked down anymore. People are not wanting to put up with you're telling us to do what? And this is where you get kind of topsy-turvy conditions. And Saturn, control, authority, pressure. This is what we are going to do. Boundaries, limitations, limit to our expression. I mean, we're finding that here in Canada. They're wanting to limit your expression. They're wanting to limit what you can say and what you can't say. So my advice to people is start looking for a new VPN and start looking into different companies that do VPNs. So that's just a little segue. I don't get any money from it. But this is where it's so Mars and Saturn equals anger. And we can't be, a lot of people might be on the fence, or they don't want to, don't fence me in, don't stop me. I'm going to do what I want to do. I have a right to say what I want to say. So here we have this opposition that's coming in that's really causing a lot of anger, a lot of animosity, a lot of frustration. And that could be within your own life. You're looking around. And this is where it's no, this is what this is what we want to do. The other thing about don't hold me back, Mars is in Leo. Mars is fire. Leo is fire. Leo is, my pleasure, my romance. This is all about me. How do I look? What's going on? I don't want to be controlled. Don't tell me what to wear. I'm just going to allow myself to say and do and be. I'm going to be loud and I'm going to be proud and I'm going to do what I need to do because I'm a Mars and Leo and look at me. So there is this energy, this is I want to, come out. I want fun. I want creativity. I want to go and play and I want to dance and I want to do these kinds of things. Saturn, the external authority, social systems, orders that are being placed upon us. Saturn comes in and says, I'm sorry, you're dancing too close together. No, and I don't even think Saturn would say I'm sorry. He'd just go, you're dancing too close together. No, you're not allowed to go out in public without a mask yet. No, this is what we're still doing. It's that order, that energy is still there and is being placed upon us. And so this is really challenging. This is where everybody's ready to go out. I mean, we got Canada Day here in Canada, and then there is a lot of rumbling, and you have people who are saying, I want to go see the fireworks, I want to go celebrate, and you have a huge opposition saying, no, you can't do that because it's it makes me feel bad. I don't want this to happen. Yet others are saying, no, I want to go out. I'm having a family barbecue. We're going to light some fireworks. We're going to get together because we're going to celebrate because we're proud to be Canadian, or whatever it is. We also have Independence Day coming up in the United States. So here we have this energy, and let's throw into the mix Uranus. Yeah. Uranus is in Taurus for 7 years. Now, if you're wanting to rebel, revolt, discover, this is where Mars is. I mean, this is where Uranus is in Taurus. He's a rebel. He wants to revolt. He doesn't want you to go with the same thing. He's disrupting. That's what he's doing. He's disrupting the status quo. He's disrupting society, awakening us, giving us those jolts of electricity, right? So this is where this new resources, talents, capacities, ways of survival, just survival and thriving. This is where this Uranus is coming in. And Uranus wants to break all patterns. Like, he just wants to break everything down. Like, this is it. We're not doing this anymore. We're going to do it this way. This is no good. We're going to throw it all out. And then we have Mars, break all the patterns. And then Saturn. Saturn is strong. Saturn is in his co-ruling. And the co-ruler is Uranus. But Uranus is in Taurus. Saturn is at, when we look at the declinations of how much power a planet has in a chart, Saturn is at +10. He is the powerhouse. He is the authority. He is the energy that's coming forth. And he is saying, you know what? He's coming down with the big thumb. He's coming down with the hammer. And he's saying, and he's putting, this in holding, stopping, slowing, delaying. He's telling us that we, the teaching, and we have to have patience. So he's telling a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old, because I think Uranus is at 10 degrees. Energy. No, this is what we're going to do. So this is where this energy in the sky, holding, stopping, slowing down, delaying, teaching us patience and endurance and perseverance and commitment. What are you committed to? What do you want to be committed to? This is about us to reflect, because, the sun or the moon just went over in 2 weeks, went over Pluto, he went over Saturn, and he hit Jupiter, and he hit Neptune. So we have this emotional energy that's coming in about reviewing, revising, looking into our emotional well-being. Are we coming in with truth? Are we having those relationships? All of this, I'm on a live scope. No. Yeah. This is where this energy is coming in. And this is about us reflecting. This is about us, of what we need to review from last year. What do you need to look at? This is about what what you need to make. Are you on the right track? Did you make the right commitments? Are we actually progressing towards the goals? These are the decisions that are coming in, right? So if anybody's wondering who that just was, that was my daughter. Trust an air sign to come on in. What are you doing, Mom? This is what we're going to do. So lovely little air sign, but she wanted me. No, dog can go downstairs. It's cool. It's great. She doesn't like to be out in the heat. The dog's a diva. Someone got the mum eyes. This is where we're actually, are you actually progressing in the direction that you want to progress in? And those I'm going to, for the people who took the karmic release, sit down and start looking at a review from where you were when you took it last year in March and where you are now. Are you on the road, or are you doing what it is that you need to do? Is there something there that you need to tweak, look at, revise, revisit the whole scenario? So this is, for those who did the karmic release last year, not the ones that did it this year. You guys are still going through the transformation. I don't know, probably not. Not much has changed. So take a look. If you're not sure, go through your journal. Go through how you've been acting, your attitude, and whatever else, right? Have you been isolating yourself? Like more so than what the isolation has been, right? So I'm still lost and I don't even have any creativity. So there's something really deep there, and this opposition is I feel like almost shaking you up because it's in your sign, it's in Leo. This is a shakeup of saying, okay, time to start doing things, time to stop hiding. And because Saturn is going to be in opposition for you for the next 2.5 years. Expect anybody who's Leo and anybody who's fixed too, because this is all affecting the fixed signs. Fixed signs take a longer time to change. They don't want to change. I mean, they usually come out kicking and screaming because of the change, right? So this is where you have to start taking a look and saying, okay, how can I create the changes I need to change? What is stopping me from doing what I want to do? And the only person that stops anybody from doing really what they want to do is usually themselves. So, for me, some of the things that I did start last year kind of went to the wayside. I did start this whole diet regime and everything, and then it was good. The product's good, but what ended up happening was, I think for me, there was a lot of hiding that I was still doing on who I was and where I needed to step out more. So, and in looking at doing the weight loss, that means I was coming out, but was I fully ready to come out to do it, and being in that alignment for my own self. And sometimes you'll sit and you'll say, oh, not much happened or not much changed. But when you sit down and you start looking at, okay, this is now bringing me to a point where, yeah, my whole goal is spirituality. It always has been, but even stronger, being the spiritual coach, the consultant, to help people upon their earth walk. That's where I've, for me with changes, I mean, I was even, do I dare? But it's coming down to where I have to dive into my Saturn, because my Saturn is my discipline, and my discipline is what I rebel against. So this is where you got to look at, it's like, why am I not doing the things that I need to do? And why am I rebelling? What is my reasoning? Because the only person that's going to hurt is me. And my rebelling could be because, I'm whatever fear that's there. I'm afraid of being seen. I'm afraid of failing. If I start and I don't proceed, I'm going to fail at it. And then people aren't going to like me. So this is where this energy is really getting you to look into yourself personally and reclaim. This is where part of I've been writing out what I want to start putting on more onto my website, and what I want, for a description of where I want to go and do and be. So it's to guide you in the direction to reclaim your soul, awaken, align with your true self, and bringing the magic to raise your frequency to navigate your life and changing events. That's partially of what I've written so far, of some of the things that I want to, that I feel with my coaching and what I do, and my workshops, especially my workshops, to reveal to people. And the thing is that right now I'm kind of juggling. Do I go full, just do workshops, or do I, do the consultations. And for a while there, I thought, well, let me move away from the consultations and just do the workshops. And I got, no, it's doing the consultation is like a mini workshop for people. A lot of the work that I do and the things that I work on. And this is where it helps me to, because I want them to go to the higher realms and go to that higher vibration and help them to give the tools in doing that. And many times for people to first meet me is sometimes through a consultation and then possibly go into a workshop. So this is where bringing it in, but my consultations and how I do them are changing. You know, that's the change. And that's where I have to sort of come into those feelers and start to look at those feelers. And that's the same with all of you. So if you have a business, maybe you started a business last year or you started something out and it's not working. Well, why isn't it working? What's going on there? And we can blame COVID. We can blame, restrictions that happen there. But this is where you have to look at your own responsibilities. Yes, there's a lot of outside extenuating circumstances. But what I have found for my own self with some of this, we know there's a part of us that knows when something is done. Yet, for whatever reason, we hang on to it and we keep going with it. This opposition is showing you what is done. What is done, right? I'm bored with my spiritual self. Have you surrendered yourself to your spirit, to your God? Done and knowing that there is something greater than you are out there, and surrendering and just allowing that surrender to happen. If you're bored of your spirit, that's where it comes in. It's like some of the things, for me in doing my spirituality is Kundalini, doing the Kundalini meditations. And, now I've started to do yoga. Not very good yoga. I had to do a pigeon pose today. Anyways, my body doesn't pigeon pose. I think I killed the pigeon in trying to do that pose, because that pose was not exactly the way I needed to do the pigeon pose, because the pigeon pose just isn't in alignment with me, right? And that's the it's just me, and yoga is just one of those crazy things. Do you think there's one God or multiple gods? I think there's one energy, and that energy is not defined by a god or a goddess. That energy is the energy. It is just this omnipresent energy. How you interpret it as an individual is up to you. And how you receive it is totally up to you. And how you want to practice it, that comes up to your own view of it. But in doing many past life regressions and doing mediumship with people, it always comes back when anybody says, does Jesus exist? Yes, Jesus exists. But he's a part of that light, that energy that's there. And within that, all things it's like the void, all things come from it. We exist from it. And now we come here, and being on this earth walk, you come onto this earth walk to learn how to connect with your soul and your spirit, because God is spirit. The soul is yours. Your soul is unique to you. Your soul is not my soul. My soul is not your soul. Your soul has your imprint of who you are, what you decided, what design you decided to come in on this earth walk, and the challenges and the things that you needed to work on this, right? How do you know if we're all old souls? Everybody's an old soul. Like, I mean, everything is it just, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to come back and you're going to repeat it in some way, and you're going to come back and you're going to do it. We're all old souls. I mean, when people say, "Oh, he's an old soul," I mean, maybe they, as when you look at my grandson, there's wisdom there, definitely, but he's tapping into it in a different way than maybe you or I, right? And meaning you are at the end of, and you won't come back. The only way I think people aren't going to come back on this earth, I mean, you got to really walk that walk. You really got to walk the walk. And just coming back to what I'm talking about, I've come back a lot. So have I. I mean, if you don't want to come back, then you better start reading what Gandhi did. And you got to read what Mother Teresa has done. And start reading up about a lot of the saints and what they did. So, and things like that. Spirit guides can come back. Spirit guides, under definition are usually those who've gone, those who haven't assigned, come back on an assignment to take a physical earth walk, but have come back to guide you in some way. So, where is your soul going after you? If you are not coming back on this earth, where is your soul going? What do you mean by that? Basically, have a life of service with the kind heart. Definitely. That's soon as you accept. The thing is that all the questions that I can't pronounce, I'm just going to say Barry is saying, all the questions that you're asking. I mean, when you allow yourself to be of service and just walk your truth, and just allow yourself to come into a place that is of alignment, right? And I mean, if you're constantly worried what's going to happen to me when I die, then you're not living. You're not living, and coming, if you're not coming back on earth, where's your soul going, right? Like, is there other dimensions? Of course, there's many dimensions. Even NASA's discovered, like, there's at least 15 plus dimensions, alternate realities. Definitely there is. And if anybody's done any psychedelics, they're going to tell you the same thing. There's many dimensions. And there is, as we transcend or, transition to the other side of the light, there is. We go there. And, for some people, there's a whole review your life, review things that you've done. And, and then there's also where, when you go there too, the thing is that you're thinking now of ego. You're in your ego mind when you're asking these questions. You're not in spirit mind. Because spirit mind is just like, when I transition, I go back to my source. I go back to that alignment, and everything there is just of love, just pure essence of love, without judgment or anything. Dolores Cannon books are fabulous for that. And, looking at right now of our separation of our, being in the two worlds that's happening in this world. And that we're coming back to that Saturn Pluto opposition, right? And the thing is are we actually progressing towards the goals we've set out? Are you progressing in your life, right? Are you progressing in the ways of things that you want to do or not? And this is where, over a year ago, do we need to modify Mars? Mars, it's our direction. It's our action. It's, Mars wants you to take direction. Mars wants you, he's action motivated. This is where your action is. Mars was in Aries for 6 months last year. Mars in Aries is about, he was the one who was motivated, driven, keeping us going in order for us not to just, disappear, sort of thing. So this is about charging. And when it runs into Saturn, this is about reflection and holding and reviewing and reflecting. Mars comes in. Mars is the sword, right? Mars is the sword. Mars is cutting. He's cutting away cords. He's ripping up old contracts, old agreements and relationships, and not allowing us to to continue them. So Mars is coming in, and Mars in Leo, he's coming in. He's taking all this shit and he's saying, no, we're not doing this. This is done. This is done. This is done. So Mars in Leo is a full self-expression. It's rebellion. You know, when Mars comes into, it's about rebellion. And so we're seeing it. People in what, 10,000 plus people coming out protesting in London. You know, this is like, we've had enough. We've had enough of all of this. We want to be self. We want to be creative life. This is, you know, what we want to do. And in a couple of days, we're coming into this fully this weekend. So this weekend is going to be bringing in a lot of fierceness, a lot of, you know, this, I'm going to do it this way. With Venus is going to come along too. And this is going to get tough, and this could be discouragement. And this is where Venus comes in, and she's, you know, am I lonely? Do I have a relationship? Reflection, partnerships. She's doing this, and she's, you know, just looking at our commitments, our contracts, our goals, and making sure we are on track to go forward. That's Venus. Venus is going to come in and say, is this where you want to be? Is this a relationship you want to be? Are you lonely? Why are you lonely? Are you putting things in place in order for you to get out and meet people? So this is like leading up to the new moon, and the new moon coming up next week. So this is a big, huge build up to the new moon energy that's going to be in Cancer. And this is where we got to track alignment with and where you were, and learn something in this last time period that you need to change and modify, review the business, fulfilling. You know, this is about your life. So this energy is coming in. So, if, you know, poor Candace, you know, if you're bored with your spirituality and you're bored with that, this is a huge review and saying, how can I spruce it up? What can I start doing? And yes, you're joining me on my weekly meditation starting July 5th. That's a start, right? That's a start, right? We remember everything we forgot, and when we came to Earth. Yes, we did. Okay, because when we die and our egos dissolve, do our souls have identity and just living with the divine, stagnant and idle? What do you think? Do you think your soul is stagnant? Of course your soul is not stagnant. Your soul is not it's not, you know, idle either. Like, your soul becomes a part of the energies of the vastness. You see, it's hard for you to understand. It's hard for us to understand that and put that into context, right? Because we're in a meat package right now with an ego, and we need the ego to figure out this life, to have motivation, Mars, to get things done, to have passion, Venus, to be able to create. But the thing is that with that Mars and this is where life goes on. Mars, you know, Mars comes in and he wants you to go out and be the ego, be that person, get out there, get going, create, do all of that. And then out of all of that, something happens where it's just like, no, this out here is not making me happy. This, yes, it's nice that I got a computer and a telephone and an iPhone and I have my water here and I'm sitting outside in my backyard. I mean, I love this, but that's not my true essence of who I am. That's a part of what that I have created. But this is stepping back into our creativity, stepping back into that alignment and coming back to our God and our spirit. When we move on to the next journey, we still go into classes and learn. We learn from our loved ones that are still on earth. Our soul never stops. It never stops. And our soul too comes in with a blueprint of, you decide what color you're going to come in. You decide what color eyes. You decide you decide on your natal chart when you decide to come back in. And not everybody who wants to come back gets to come back. Many from other, within the energies want to come here, because the earth is a beautiful playground. It's a place of growing. It's a place of connection. It's a place where we think is traumatic is only a stage, and we are on the sidelines waiting to come out to play our parts in it. And there's beautiful dances, and then there's tragedies, and then there's horrific things. Certain people come in for certain reasons, right? We've come in for different whatever reasons, right? For Candace, more native lives. In one of my past lives, I was Japanese. I was a samurai. Another past life I had, I was a herbalist in Germany. And then I have past lives that I was in England and Ireland. But each of them had a very similar kind of story of what I needed to learn and what I needed to trust within my own self. Either they're not ready. There's others that have to come back. Some people come back right away because they have a big lesson to learn. So they have to come back in a new type of soul or in a new way. So, not everybody, there's, where I've seen where people are wanting, or different energies are wanting. There's more people on Earth than there ever has been. In fact, there's not even enough people on Earth to have made the people that are on Earth. Think about that. I mean, the amount of people that had to take to create who you are. Just think about that. How many people it took for you to be here. It's not just your mom and dad. It's their mom and dad. And then they have mom and dads and mom and dads and mom and dads. And then they have mom and dads and mom and dads and mom and dads and mom and dads. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Get a past life regression done. Book in a past life regression. Get one done. That's usually how people get it done. Or if you want to do one on YouTube, there's ones on YouTube too. I mean, that's basically how you find out. Plus, there's always things that you do in your life give you clues too. Certain likes, dislikes. Why do I do certain things? I have some people love Egyptian things, or they're. I'm not watching her. No. So this is where this, where this is, right? And for us coming here, and if you start looking at it, and I'm going to say, start listening to what I'm saying right now about what's happening with the energies. Take up astrology, learn astrology. Understand what the sun, moon, and rising sign is in your chart. Get to understand what the planets are, because the planets have a lot to do with how our world is. If you don't have this world, then you are not who you are, right? And when we look at this is why I do astrology. When we look at this and we're seeing what's happening, and I look at the astrology and I look at the world, what's happening, it's a reflection. It's showing us. It's showing us where we need to improve our life, what we need to start focusing on in order to create a more harmonious, loving life, right? And this is where we need to start going forward. The track alignment, where we need to modify, where we need to review, what do we need to start looking at? This energy coming in is extremely serious. This isn't to bypass and not start paying attention in your life. If you are addicted to any drugs, alcohol, or anything along that line, this is the time to get yourself clean, because it's your time to wake up. It's not for your time to get lost. It's time for you to be here and be grounded and be connected. This is what this is. And if you're not coming in to be grounded, if you're constantly going off and all in all different directions, you're going to find that it's just your life isn't going to be very fun. You're going to always be looking at something outside of yourself to feel good. And when you're constantly looking outside of yourself to feel good, you know that doesn't last long. It might seem like it's fun, or it might seem very cool at the time, yet it's the days after or things along that line that really get you out of sorts. I hate that feeling when your top of your chakras are having a party. Yeah, well, that's Mars. That's Mars. You got, okay, because you're a Leo. Get your chart out, take a look, because Mars is at 12 degrees, and I can't remember what Venus is at. I think 4 degrees. So just take a look at what's going on with that energies and what it's hitting and aspecting in your chart. I mean, right now, Moon is now entering Aries, and the Cancer Sun is answering to the Moon in Aries. And so the shifts the sky into a passionate fire. So there's a lot of fire energy that's going to start coming in the next few days, and are rocking and rolling, and the heavens are erupting. So there's a real grand fire that's starting to come in. And if you think about that grand fire that's coming in, and then there's an opposition to Saturn, and Saturn's not answering to the Moon. Saturn's not going to answer to anybody. And the Moon is not very happy in Aries. So this is where, we have this energy that's coming in, Saturn, that's holding us to say, let's start getting things together and let's start creating. And this Mars and Venus and Leo, all they want to do is party and gamble and have a good time and go out and let's just light the fireworks, right? And it's not easy. And there's decisions. And this is where, your ego, it's your creativity, as I said, your individual. And then you return to source through meditation and mindfulness and collection of, with that Saturn in Aquarius, is also about duty and responsibilities. Just when when you come here, yes, you have duties and responsibilities. It's not all like you have to have that balance. And sometimes the balance isn't always easy to do. And each one of us, for the collective and for Aquarius, is what future generations, laws that we're handing our children and so on. This energy is coming in and saying, what are we handing to our children? What kind of things are we handing down to them? Because if we're coming in with our mindfulness and our creativity and our collective energy with Aquarius, this is where we come in and we have a responsibility, because we want to hand our children something that is beautiful and prosperous and wonderful, so that they can grow and be prosperous. So this is where, as we're handing this on, and am I personally, and all I can do is the collective future, community or family or, what have you. This is about looking at that. And Saturn is this wet blanket that goes over the fire and says, screw it all, we're doing it this way. And then Uranus is there and he's fighting. He's saying, no, this is where we need to change. This is where we need to awaken. This is where we need to liberate. And not to be a pansy. It's not a time to be a pansy. This isn't a time to go hide away in your basement and say, I don't want to take any responsibility for what's going on. This is where, when within your own individuality, within your own uniqueness, this is bringing the energy in. This is when you start. I've always said this, it's grassroots that make the change. It's not the higher ups, it's the grassroots that start to make the change. It's that rumbling within the grassroots. And with Mercury squaring Neptune, there's a feeling of delusion and letdown and getting the blues and fear, and feel maybe the external authorities could know more. And the thing is that Mercury is still going over its shadow side. So we're not getting all the answers. And Neptune has gone retrograde and he's way the freak out in the sea. So we're feeling delusion. We want to escape. We just want to party. It's like, I just want to have a summer and I just want to go out on the boat and just have a good time. But Saturn is saying, no, you can't do that. You got responsibility. There's things that we have to start doing and things that we have to start, putting together. So there's that guilt, ashamed of yourself, self-centered, egotistical. So we got to clarify who we are and our goals and our values. What are your goals? What are your values? Do your values reflect your goals? This is where our values have to reflect our beliefs. Are my values reflecting who I am, what I want to do? And what do you believe? And this is our values out. This is looking at, come out from our goals. So this energy is getting us to really grow the hell up and start really taking a look at the things that are going on within our community, within our own family, and with the structure of our family. And this is where, we also have to look at the things that are happening within our body, because when it comes to Mars, it's our physical reality. This is our muscles. So muscle pain, muscle joint pain. Uranus is tension and nervous system. So Uranus is activating I don't want an adult, MJ. Too bad, Candace. You got to be an adult. And this is where it's like, we got to look at our body. Are we taking care of our body? Are we taking care of our bones? Because we're going to start feeling it. You're going to find a lot of people with nervous disorder, tensions, adrenal fatigue, muscle issues. And with this energy too, with Mars just wanting to be rebellious, you got to really be careful, because this is where people will run into things and accidents will happen. And this is where, because we were wanting to build a strong foundation, right? And in building that strong foundation, and try not to get pissed off and put a fist through the wall. That's also, this is coming into that energy and coming into that alignment. Did I think I'd be doing yoga every day? No. I mean, I try and do it at least 5 days a week. There's some positions, like, there's just no way burpees, like, really? You want us to do 4 sets of 8? I'm lucky if I could do one burpee in the one set that you've just done the 8. A side plank, and you have to go on your side and lift your arm up in the air. No, I'm better off lying on my side, and I can lift my arm up in the air. And going for walks. So walking is another thing, connecting. I go to North Glenmore Reservoir Park, and just doing that walk in the morning is really wonderful. It's really wonderful. Like, it's connecting with nature. The birds are out early in the morning, and they're having their morning coffee and talking. Going for a walk around 7 in the morning or 7:30 in the morning, it's great, because it's still, the sun is still in its sweetness at that time in the morning. It hasn't reached its fierce capacity, right? And that's the whole thing. So it's like coming out in the sweetness of when the sun is out there. And that's where you can get information or contemplation, and taking those moments, those times, and asking, what direction do I need to go into? I mean, I did that back in 2002. Was, okay, I'm going to come out. Now, what does that mean? What does that look like? I didn't know where that was going to lead me. It took me on, 3 years later, my mom died. I wasn't expecting my mom to die, but she died in 2005. That turned my life upside down, where within a year from her death, I was living in Calgary in 2006, just by April 1st of 2006. A year and a bit after my mother's death, I was here. And then from there, it was like my spirit guides were telling me to learn Lomi Lomi. What the hell? I live in Calgary now. How can I learn Lomi Lomi? I worked at a place called Williams Sonoma. And I thought, and this is the crazy thing, is that when I was hired there and they started me off at just over $15 an hour, I thought that was the jackpot. I thought that was the jackpot of earning. Yet I still found myself scrimping and saving and trying to make ends meet because, it's actually not a lot of money. But this is where it's like, okay, what other transformations came out of, living here? Huge thing with my eldest son and going through all the tragedies and the ups and downs with his mental disorder, learning how to do markets and being told I'm supposed to do this work, yet I didn't know how to promote myself. So I had to learn how to market myself. I had to learn the mundane things. I thought it was only spirit, but spirit's guiding you to learn. And that's where it is now. It's like, yeah, spirit is there and being mindful and being centered is important, but you still have to create, you still have to know how to say, if you're wanting to be a programmer, you have to know how to write code. You have to know how to build a computer or what have you, whatever it is that you want to do. That doesn't mean you're not mindful. That doesn't mean you're not spiritual. That doesn't mean you're not considerate and aligned with God or your goddess or whomever it is that you want to align with. That means that you're taking skills that you have and creating. And this is where you start to begin to tap into your blue flame, right? And coming into your blue flame. And as you're coming into your blue flame, that's why I'm teaching the blue flame, tapping into your blue flame on July 7th, the 6-week course. The reason I'm doing that is like, it's getting you to know that there's something, your blue flame is something beyond you. It's something beyond, than just being a mom or a dad or an auto mechanic or a technician or running a store. Your blue flame is you're coming out into the world and you are igniting. And it could be a comedian. Somebody's blue flame could be that of a comedian, that they're going out and that they're making people laugh. They're coming in and they're coming up, they're going on stage and they're doing that. My blue flame is spirituality. It's aligning people to their higher selves, bringing in that creativity for who they are, creating magic and then showing them how to create magic in their life. And just by doing simple things like meditation, yoga, walks, connecting, journaling, those things are, that's part of my blue flame. I just, being here and talking, in the evening right now or in the morning, and having conversations with people. How do we find out our blue flame? Ooh, you're going to have to take the course. Tapping into your blue flame. It's something that is, what do you like to do? What have you always liked to do? What did you like to do as a kid? What do you do that, other people find it scary? So, and it's like, maybe it's a romance novelist. Why not? Writing those books. Look at, or writing, Harry Potter books. She started reading and started doing what she wanted to do. And now she lives in a castle. That was part of her blue flame, writing those out. Do you think there will be Judgment Day like a religion's claim? I think the only judgment that comes upon you is your own judgment upon you. God, why would a loving spirit judge you? You're the only judgment in your life. You're the only one who makes your life hell. Nobody else does. You could blame other people, circumstances, but it comes down to you. You want to follow religion? Cool. You can follow. A lot of people do. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not that kind of judgment. It's a view of what you've done and how you have treated someone. But it's a learning, it's a loving process. It's not like you were bad. Look at this. You know, that again is how certain religions actually keep control over people, right? Is through fear and shame and guilt. But in essence, that shame and guilt and blame is something that is caused from the past. It's caused by belief systems, and it's just allowing us to expand in many ways. Expand in our truth. And many times too, how I see it is that wherever we were upon our earth walk, and when we came here, and with whatever situations that we came to, um, it was a time and a circumstances, right? So there were certain things that, laws and regulations, when you look at Old Testament, you got to also look at when it was written. It was written in a time where, men ruled. That was very much the way it was. It wasn't written in a time where women were allowed to speak out and say things. It was written, a lot of things that they, things, certain things that they say in the Bible or even in some of the texts, it's, especially when it has to do with why don't they eat pork? Well, the reason why people don't eat pork is that they didn't know how to cook it. The reason why they're not supposed to eat shellfish, they didn't know when to collect it. And sometimes when they collected it, if it was a red tide or something, they didn't have that knowledge to how to cook it properly or not to utilize it. So certain things, circumcisions was brought into play because, I mean, when you're a nomad living in a desert, are you cleaning your penis properly? Probably not. So a lot of guys were getting infections. So things like that. But we grow, we learn, we expand. And that's the beauty of living on this earth. I mean, if you took somebody from that time and brought them here with all our, turning the lights on, having a stove, you don't have to go and collect firewood. I mean, it's like, whoa, hold on here. It'd be too overstimulating for them. They just couldn't, they wouldn't be able to handle it. But yet again, if you get into and understanding dimensions, because everything always happens simultaneously, your past, present, and future all happens at once. There's a good and a bad side to connecting into mediumship and seeing what it is like on the other side. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's good and bad in how you interpret it. I don't, I don't think we really get the full justification of it, even as a medium, of the true essence of that love. And it's like people who've written about past life, past or no, their death experiences. Everyone who's written about it or who's talked about it, near death experiences, tell you that it was such a, they didn't want to come back. They didn't want to come back. Or they noticed that everything was happening exactly the way it's supposed to happen. Everything was unfolding the way it was supposed to unfold. And that takes away the blame, the guilt, and the shame, right? Things happen exactly the way that they need to happen. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And we have to embrace that. Well, you're going to have to take it up with them. Because, with that, even people who were atheists who've had near-death experiences, have come back and they're just like, there is a greater being than me. There's something far, far more powerful than who I am. And that's to me is a beautiful thing. And it helps us to understand, right? But that is, I mean, to me, when I, even in mediumships, when I step into that energy of that divine love, I mean, it only happens a very few times. But when I step into that, it just makes me cry. It just makes me cry because it is so loving and non-judgmental, and there is such a purity and unconditional energy that very hard for us to live in that energy, to be able to to do what we need to do in this world, right? And we do. This is, I mean, we're coming into a time of connecting. We're coming into a time where we have to look at, what are the laws? Are these laws, do you want these laws for our children, our grandchildren? What kind of world do we want to leave, right? Same when women have babies, they want to tell you their birth story. It's the same with spirit and how they passed, except I feel it like it's happening to me. So, and spirit, the thing is that spirit, like God is spirit. God is spirit. So I guess it comes down to a death. God is spirit. And the spirit is everywhere, right? And I mean, the thing is that there's an essence even to birth stories. We all know that, in the birth stories, it all comes down to there's always a connectiveness with it, right? And even though everybody's experience might be slightly different, there's a connection of, yes, we know it's painful in some way, but there's also a connection of receiving such love, of being able to give birth to another human being. So humans who have passed. When I saw spirit, I'm talking about humans. Oh, so you're talking about the human passing. So their soul leaving. And having that and watching their soul leave. So you're experiencing that soul transition, or their death. Because in the death, people before their last breath, thoughts that go through their usually there's a lot of fear there. There's a lot of fear that coming with that. Yeah. So, but once their soul has connected back up into the spirit realm, they're connected as one. And they're in that connection of one and coming into that oneness. But the transition sometimes for some is fearful, is overwhelming for some. They're not prepared for it. And I think that's, comes down to understanding in the belief systems that you have about what, if you got a fear that God's going to, judge you. But this weekend is going to be a chaotic weekend, for being the first sort of long weekend of summer. It is going to be very, it's going to be a little bit crazy for people. Canada Day is going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of divisions when it comes to Canada Day for people. It angers me that people want to go and burn down churches. I don't give a shit. What you're angry at somebody doesn't mean that you go and destroy property. That to me is wrong. You have a disagreement with whoever it is. You just don't do that. And I think that there's going to be a lot of rebellion that's going to come out. There's a lot of young people that I know who are like, well, young people, I'm going to say some of the millennials, I mean, it's kind of split, but who are like, okay, it happened, now let's move on. Like, why are we dwelling on this? We have other issues that we have to look at. And that's, conversations I've had with, people like in their late 20s and 30s. Others are very passionate and they're just like, oh my God, it's horrible. And, but I have others that are coming in and saying, okay, yes, this is horrible, but how are we going to move on from this? Like we knew about certain things. Why are we dwelling on it? Let's just move on. So there's, coming in with, that Mars and Saturn energy. Saturn saying, okay, no, I'm the wet blanket, we got to move on. We've covered this, right? Yeah, you choose your family, you choose everything. No, you're scarred in this lifetime, but you choose what you come in here to learn, and some of it's horrific. Some people come in to learn, torture or rape, and it's hard for us to fathom wanting to come into that, but there's a energy that says this is what I've come in to learn, or or maybe I was a rapist in my past life and I need to understand what it feels like to be raped, or I was a torturist, or what have you, or malicious, or whatever. So we all come in, but we all have choices as we get older and how we deal with that pain. That's the big part. You could stay in that torture, you can stay in that pain. That's your choice. Or you can grow from that pain and grow into something more, and do the work, do the shadow work, and come into something, more. And I've seen many people do that. I've seen, even through different talks that people have given, where they've gone through horrific things in their life, but have made huge transformation and changes, right? I mean, if you want to go with somebody who's very big, look at Russell Brand. I mean, he's made huge changes in his life, and he's gone through, he's very much, he's gone through practically everything to where he is now, and the changes that he's made in his life, and his ideology and his thoughts, and how he, what he wants to believe and bring through. Oh, that's gross. Yeah, that's super disgusting. But I mean, I think too, and I guess when I do mediumships, it's like I can say, I can feel it, I understand it, but I'm not taking it on. And it's learning not to take it on and saying that's not mine. It's a horrible thing. I'm sorry you went through that, but I'm not going to take it on. And that's I mean, that's what I can do, but it comes down to doing it and saying, no, I'm not going to take that shit on. I've had where people have had, died of pancreatic cancer, and the reason why they got there, they were alcoholics and drug addicts. And, seeing their life, and when they were going to die, they were terrified and in excruciating pain. But it's like, okay, I see, but what's your message? What do you need to tell this person? It's nice that you're showing me this, and it's, and I'll explain that to the people, but now what do you need to say? What is it that you need to do? So, and this energy that's coming forward, it's harsh. So we got to watch our nerves, we got to watch our bones and our muscles. We got to watch our anger. Our anger is going to be a big one. Anger is going to come through a lot. So, having such an open heart, have you tried EMP by True Hope? I think it's EMP or EMT by True Hope. And tried that. Yeah, EMP by True Hope. And EMP, because it's beautiful minerals and vitamins and amino acids, and sometimes if our heart is really open, it's also that we're not getting the proper nutrients that we need within our body and for our brain to actually function properly. So our heart gets overwhelmed, and it causes us to go through depression. It causes us to shut down, hide, a lot of that, and that's because our heart chakra is open twice as much as other people's heart chakra. And EMP has been known to help people with that. It's called brain formula. So it works through chelation, so it breaks down and goes directly into the bloodstream. So parts of it goes into, and it's a Alberta company. It's a Leo thing. I'll beg to differ you with that. I think Leos do feel a lot, but I know Leos who are out there all the time. I mean, look at Leo King. He's a double Leo. The Pele report. I mean, he's a double Leo too. Another young man, lovely gay guy, Tim. He's a double Leo. Yeah, they feel, but it doesn't stop them from doing what they're doing. They're going to go out there and do what they need to do. It's not stopping them. So my dad was a Leo too. I mean, if he what he wanted to do, people may not have agreed with what he did. He still did it. He wasn't being stopped in doing what he's going to do. So it's partially, other parts too, is that standing in your power and not being afraid of it. Standing in who you are and not being afraid of it. Right? And double Leos are hit case. I love double Leos. I do. I love their energy. I love to be around them. They're exhausting, but they're same with double Geminis or people with a strong Gemini energy. It's understanding that some people aren't going to like them because they're very forceful. They're very out there. And that's kind of people I kind of attract, are people who are kind of out there, or have a lot of Aquarius energy. And Aquarius energy is very, yes, it's about community and bringing in community and working with community, but Aquarius energy is also bringing in that uniqueness of who you are, and having mermaid hair or writing the music that you want to write so that it can be a part of the collective and bringing in that change, right? And they don't listen to no, they don't listen to that. They're very strong. They're very strong. They're going to go out and do what they're going to do. They're going to learn from it, depending what's in their chart. Some of them have big life lessons to learn, but that's why usually a lot of that energy, they're manifestor generators. They're going out to create. They have to keep going. They have to keep producing, right? They have that energy of producing. My energy, I'm a projector. I don't have that energy to continually produce. I get exhausted. I get tired. I really have to, with my solar plexus, I have to rejuvenate it so that I am not being depleted of my energies. So so I have to be careful with that, but I got to continue doing what I'm passionate about and what I love doing, and not being held back, but just allowing myself to do it, but also honoring my energies as I do it. That's why, right now I'm only doing readings and stuff in the morning. I'm changing a lot of my classes to the daytime because right now sitting here and talking with you guys is awesome because it's cool, and I'm it's nice in my backyard, and I feel like I'm a little bit more grounded throughout from my day, and it's relaxing. Having this is relaxing for me. For some people it's not relaxing, but for me this is like, it's nice, it's relaxing. I have my water, and after this I'm probably going to go in and just I'll probably go to bed. Battery's going to die. Have a great night. Yes, you too, Candace. Thank you. And I love you sharing, and I love that you joined me. Your energy is very beautiful and loving. So thank you for joining and being a part of my earth walk. It's awesome. But with the energies coming forward, people, it's really, we really have to honor what are the structures that you're putting in for your life. Review where you were last March, and what are the things that you wanted to start doing or being. What maybe there were contracts you signed that are now just void, and maybe there's things that were done, or it's time to release them and let them go, and time to move ahead and forge ahead with your values and your goals. So I want you all to have a wonderful evening. And I'm going to, I've been almost on here for an hour and a half. Thank you guys for being a part of my Earth Walk. Really, it's, you inspire me. You give me a sense of hope, a sense of peace. You bring forth love and joy into my life. And I'm so honored that you are a part of my Earth Walk. If you're interested in anything that I'm doing or teaching, please get a hold of me. Meditation starts July the 5th. Tapping into your power starts July the 7th. If you're wanting to book in a consultation, definitely go to thegurumama.com and you can book in a consultation right there on my website. So you can go to thegurumama.com and book in a consultation. So have a fabulous night. May the Lord and the Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you and all that you say and all that you be and all that you do. Blessed be everybody. Thank you. And have a blessed night. Be kind to one another. Bye-bye.